Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. In this lecture we're going to quickly install Cinemachine. This is a Unity tool that makes handling cameras super easy. Our game isn't really going to have a moving camera, so this part isn't strictly necessary, but Cinemachine is a super useful tool, so I definitely want you to learn about it. Okay, so let's begin by installing the package. Let's go into Window, open up the Package Manager. Then up top, let's make sure we are in the Unity registry. Make sure you're on the Alt tab, and now just scroll down until you find, yep, there it is, Cinemachine. Okay, so let's go ahead and install this. Alright, it's installed, so let's close this. And now the way that Cinemachine works is by creating what is called a Cinemachine virtual camera. So let's go up top into the game object menu, then scroll down into Cinemachine, and over here you can see that we can create a multitude of virtual camera types. Now, just by the names, you can see how this tool is insanely useful. For example, making a free look camera. Doing that from scratch is a bit tricky, but with Cinemachine it is super easy. For our case, like I said, we want the absolute most basic thing possible, so let's just create an empty virtual camera. Okay, that's it. This creates a virtual camera over here in the hierarchy. In turn, this object has the Cinemachine virtual camera component. And also importantly, when we added this, it also added over here on the main camera. If we scroll down, we can see it has a Cinemachine brain component. Basically, the way Cinemachine works is it works on top of the main camera, so it doesn't replace it, it works on top of it and drives the main camera. So now that we're using Cinemachine, if we try modifying the main camera game object, so for example over here if I try to drag the field of view, nope, does not work, I cannot move it. If I try to move the position, nope, can't do it. If I try to rotate it, nope, that does not work. Like I said, when working with Cinemachine, the Cinemachine brain is what drives the main camera. So rather than modifying the things over here on the camera itself, what we need to do is change them on the virtual camera. So over here we have pretty much the exact same options that we have on the main camera. For example, modifying the FOV, over here we've got the lens, so we can modify the FOV, and if we look in the game scene, as we modify this one, yep, it does modify the actual properties on the actual main camera. Now this has tons and tons of options related to everything. The most important ones are all kinds of options down here for the body and the aim. So this is where the camera is positioned and where it's looking at. Using this, you can make a follow camera in 5 seconds. It really is insanely useful. If you want to learn about Cinemachine in more detail, I have a dedicated video on it. I go through what all of these options do. Then I also have another super detailed video on how to make a camera system with pan, zoom, scroll in both 2D and 3D and a bunch more features. Again, all of it using Cinemachine. But in our case, we really want to keep it simple. So let's just position our virtual camera on the same settings that we had previously. So first, let's set the field of view. So for our game, we want something narrow, so let's go with just 20. Then for the position, let's put it above. So 0 on the X, then 21.5 on the Y, and minus 21.3 on the Z. Then for the rotation, 46 on the X, and then 0 on the others. Okay, so our camera is positioned in the exact same position. And if we head on play, yep, everything still works the same. The camera is looking from the same point of view, and the character still works. Everything's still exactly the same. Now, since we're using Cinemachine, we can easily add some things on top of this. Like for example, we can add some noise to our Cinemachine camera to make it smoothly move a little bit. This one is a fun, simple effect that can make our game feel a bit more dynamic, especially in games like this where we have a fixed overhead view. How we do that is over here on the Cinemachine virtual camera, we've got a field for noise. So let's click and let's select basic multi-channel purlin. And then over here we've got the noise profile, so we can choose one of the included ones or we can create our own profile. So for example, let's go with handheld, normal, mild. And by the way, you can actually modify these settings while the game is playing. So here it is, the game playing, and you can see what this effect does. It adds a nice little wobble to the camera. And then over here, amplitude and frequency, so we can play around these. So you can make it really intense, so something like this, that is way too intense. So there you go, quite a lot. So for something more subtle, maybe put 0.5 and 0.5. There you go, just a slight little movement in the camera. So this would help make the game a little bit more dynamic, so this could be a fun effect. Although actually in my case, in order to make sure that the video doesn't get way too compressed, I'm actually going to disable this on my end. So just set the channel noise to none. But you can see how easy it is to add complex camera features when using Cinemachine. And of course, when using Cinemachine, if you want, you can use it to make your game a lot more unique. Now for me, I want to design here where the camera is fixed. But let's say, for example, you wanted the camera to actually follow the player. Like I said, go watch that dedicated video to learn all about Cinemachine. But over here, very quickly, let me just show you how to do that. But at the same time, don't bother following this part. It's just to show what Cinemachine can do that I'm going to revert back to this state. So first of all, for testing, one great thing about Cinemachine is you can have multiple virtual cameras. You can have as many as you want. And then the priority and the game object enabled state is what defines which camera is actually being used. So for example, on this second one, let's make it follow the camera and put the priority on 20 so that it's above. Then over here for the body, I'm going to select transposer. Let's put it with world space. It requires a follow target, so let me drag the player as the follow target and put it slightly above and behind. Okay, so it's pretty similar as before. Then for the aim, let me also drag the aim player target. And just with this, it should already work. So if I head on play, yep, there you go. Look at that. The camera is now moving and following the player, so I can move the player anywhere. And yep, the camera follows along. So as you can see, it's this simple to really make some complex camera movement. Doing some complex camera logic just like this would require a ton of work manually, but with Cinemachine it is super easy. Then you can even play around with either priority or enable and disable. And there you go, Cinemachine even transitions between the state of all your virtual cameras. So as you can see, lots and lots of things you can make with your camera very easily, all thanks to Cinemachine. Like I said, in my case, I just want a fixed overhead camera, so I'm just going to delete this secondary virtual camera. And there you go, just this one on top, looking at the player, looking down with a low FOV. And yep, this is exactly the kind of camera that I want for my game. Okay, so that's Cinemachine. It's a really awesome tool for making camera handling much easier. So this was a quick lecture all about learning about Cinemachine. Now let's handle the test that was actually left undone quite a while ago. Let's finally learn how to refactor code and implement the new input system. So let's do that in the next lecture.